So in this video, I'm going to use the same line drawing or painting that I did in the last video, and I'm going to do the dry brushing technique on top of this. Now, dry brushing is kind of like an ending technique where you add small details and things like that into your painting, and you're going to use small detail brushes. The ones that you have in your classroom are blue. They're the same as these. Mine are just a little bit different than the ones that you have, but you're going to use detail brushes for this, and you're going to do quite thick watercolor on top, so you don't really need to add a bunch of water, but you're going to want, to fill your brush with just straight watercolor. So I have some water in this blue and green that I have, and I'm going to just kind of dip the end of my brush in there, and I'm going to start adding some dry brushed kind of like dots in here, kind of do like the texture of a lime. It's really small, this one is, but you can do this with lines. It's a really good way to add textures and detail into things, to really get, small details, or really get some of those more fine details in. It really works well if you're trying to do fur or hair. It really works well with that as well, to kind of get that texture of it, because you can do lines. It's going to do some lines in this part so you can see, dry brushing on top. And my brush isn't wet really at all, and the paint really isn't either. It's just wet enough to go across the paper. It might sound kind of scratchy when you're doing it on your own, but that way you're doing it right if it's kind of a scratchy sound. It's a really good way to layer in some detail, lighter ones. Again, you want to use a small detail brush for this. You don't need a really big brush at all. Just the finer tip of the brush is all you're putting onto the paper. And so you could go back in with something like green so you can really see it. And it's really just about getting those final details in at the end of a painting when you're almost done. You just need some little things for interest or detail. Really help you get some darks in there too, because watercolor inherently people don't paint dark enough at first, so it's a good way to get dark values in there when you are doing a watercolor painting. Because inevitably most people start out painting really light and it doesn't look finished until they do some dry brushing with some very vivid or highly pigmented paint.